SMQBs episode 137. This is going to be a speed round of the SMQBs. There's lots going on in sports and lots going on in everybody's life right now. So we are going to get into it. We're not even going to talk numbers. Let's just jump into the NFL. Milk, do you have a number?
I have a number.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You guys look so sad. Milk, you first. Go ahead. What's your number, Milk?
I'll do it quick. 3.
Yeah.
3 days. 3 days until my NFL season ends, and I officially start watching Hallmark movies on Sundays.
Okay.
Mine is 13. 13, the number the Yankees should never fucking retire for that scumbag A-Rod.
Are they retiring it?
No, he's crying. He wants it retired. He's all upset that they actually gave it out.
Oh God.
He thinks that like he's some Yankees legend. He's a stain on the reputation of the whole team.
Pope, right. What's your number?
Uno.
One to go. Winner take all.
Winner take all tonight. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Well, I'll build on
the LCS.
I'll build on that.
He's wearing a Rangers hat. This is.
I'll give you another number, Pope. 0.
I know.
That's the number. No, it's different this week. That's the number of home games the Astros won in the 2019 World Series. So it can be done. It can be done.
It shall be
Rangers. So, all right, let's go, guys. NFL Week 7 in the books. For some of us, we might say season in the books. But that's not what we want to talk about. Rooster, why don't you lead us off here?
I've been thinking about categories of teams following Week 7, and I came up with Jekyl and Hyde teams, biggest surprises from Week 7, and the just win baby teams.
No, thank God we're done with Sybil and the
I don't want to get any in trouble with any of my sexual references, so let's just stick with these. Jekyl and Hyde teams, the Bills. Who the hell are the Bills? The Bills are good one week. They suck the next. They can't put two together. Who are the Dolphins? The Dolphins cannot win a game against a gritty team, period. They just don't have anything in the trenches.
Well, that's speed versus toughness, right?
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Speed is awesome, but when you get punched in the mouth a little bit, speed's not so great all the time.
Well, I would also say the refs had a lot to say with last night's game. We can all agree on that, right?
That's true, but
there are some bad calls.
Definitely seemed like the
refs did not cause Tua to throw that interception late in the game.
Well, the refs were sort of there for the Eagles, though. I just think we need to call it like it is.
They call it out. Absolutely.
They definitely were.
That personal foul.
I was expecting House to pipe up on the poor reffing, but it just never came.
It didn't. I thought he would too.
He likes to condemn the referees for bad calls usually.
That's kind of a one-way street.
He might not have had service at the link.
You think? Yeah, I don't think so.
He probably didn't have good service.
Here's another Jekyll and Hyde team. Who the hell are the Ravens? Are the Ravens the powerhouse team that flexed their muscles against the 5-1 Lions this weekend? Or are they the team that can lose to anybody? I just don't know who they are.
You know what happened yesterday with the Ravens? They finally got Mark Andrews involved.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed or not. He's done shit.
Well, their defense has caught fire too.
Yeah.
And what are the Lions? Are the Lions a fraud? I don't think so. I think the Ravens just kicked their ass.
Well, they've had a great defense all year. But
here's another team.
I don't know, 38-6. Hard to say that's just a bad day.
I think the Lions are missing Montgomery too. That guy was going off.
Yeah, but they had Jahmyr Gibbs doing well.
Yeah, I guess.
Here's another team I can't figure out, the Browns. They almost pissed that game away to the Colts yesterday. Did you see that play where they tried to do the shuffle pass in Njoku and hit him in the face and bounced off?
What happened to Deshaun? Because he had -2 points for me yesterday.
Yeah, I think he hurt his labia.
Did he?
Got hurt. And by the way, I heard.
Sorry.
I heard people talking today that the Browns should trade for Kirk Cousins.
Well, I'll tell you what. my fantasy team name is Rub My Chubby, and I'm going to be without Rub and Chubb at this point. So I don't know. I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board on that name.
Cry me a river. I don't
You're
know.
going to need a Chubb rub after this.
Yeah. Geez.
All right. Here's my next category. Let's go around the horn here. What was the biggest surprise to you week 7? What outcome?
For me, it was the Lions.
Yeah.
Lions,
Good
hands
one.
down.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that they just scored 0 points or whatever it was,
6
or,
points.
I mean,
38
that
to
was
6. That was who expected
completely
that?
shocking.
In fact, I think when we were doing the locks last week, I said I'm surprised no one has taken the Lions with points.
I think. I mean, you got to talk about the Pats over the Bills.
Exactly. That's my.
I mean, that's
true.
a what the fuck moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't worry about the Bills. There's nothing better to get things going for you than a matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday night. So,
but the Bills are the Bills go from slamming teams to losing to teams they should beat. I would also throw in there the Giants beating the Commanders. The Giants the Giants were 3/5 of their starting offensive line were out of the game, and they weren't good at the offensive line position to begin with, and their starting quarterback was out.
That's only a surprise to a non-Commanders fan.
Is that a bad thing?
All right.
That had shit the bed written all over it going into the week. So
who would have guessed the Broncos would beat the Packers? I wouldn't have.
We don't know who the Packers are.
The Packers might be in a worse spot than Washington.
Right, exactly.
I mean, just no identity, right?
And then who besides House would have picked the Falcons over the Bucks?
I would have. God, we suck.
Did they actually have to play that game? I mean, talk about a game they should have flexed until 2029, right? I mean, nobody should have watched that.
God, it was horrible.
How many field goals were it? I mean,
so here's the next category since we have to be fast. Just win, baby. In the AFC, is there anyone who's going to beat the Chiefs?
No.
Not right now.
I don't think so. In the NFC, when do the Eagles and
maybe
49ers
the
clash?
Ravens?
You got to keep an eye on the Bengals still.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the Ravens, if they play like yesterday,
no fucking way.
Yeah, that's a big if though.
They're no fucking way.
I'll tell you what I learned about Herbert yesterday in that game. He is as talented as everyone says he is, but man, he has to learn to stop holding on to the ball. He thinks he can just, because he's big and strong, he can wait till these guys get open. And he doesn't just he never throws the ball out of bounds. You ever notice that? He never just throws it away. He never takes like a 2-yard sack. He just keeps dropping back, hoping someone's going to open. He winds up either with a 10-yard sack or throwing a pick. It's stupid. Yeah. He needs to grow up a little bit. He reminds me of Josh Allen in his first year. He needs to get a little more mature because he's super talented. In the first half of that game, they looked like they could win that game, and then he pissed it away with some dumb decisions.
Well, this is what happens.
Because his offensive line sucks.
Well, this is what happens to quarterbacks who have a bad offensive line. I mean, just to use it as an example is the Sam Howell and the Commanders. David Aldridge has a piece out right now that says everybody's talking about is Sam Howell the guy in Washington. Maybe they should be worried about the other 52 guys on the roster instead. I mean, Howell is running for his life on every play. He has no ability to sit there and actually go through progressions to learn how to go through progressions because he's getting 2 seconds to get rid of the ball. And same with Herbert. I mean, you do get to a point where you develop really bad habits because you don't have any consistent flow. You don't have a chance to run an offense. And so, you can destroy the most talented guy's career if you don't have a good offense around him.
The line is the key.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just happening I never thought Danny Dimes was worthy of the draft spot we picked him in. I mean, who picks a Duke quarterback in the first round anyway?
Fair.
But in his defense, he has no time to throw the ball. And Tyrod Taylor at least is used to being a scrambling quarterback, and so it's working better. That doesn't mean
Right.
he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. It's just this jailbreak of a pass rush suits Tyrod Taylor better.
Yeah.
If he can get outside the rush, he's going to make some plays.
Yeah.
Look at the Eagles offensive line, right? Man, I think we all agree that you could plug any quarterback into the Eagles offense and they would succeed, right? Without
Right. I mean, Jalen Hurts has the ability to make throws and to make some plays with his legs when he has to, but it sure helps when you can drop back and step up into a pocket and deliver a strike.
Well, you know what else
and
helps? When you have AJ Brown. I mean, the moves that
Yeah.
Howie has made as a GM to continue to astound me even today. I mean, they just keep getting better with these fucking moves. Why are people, other teams need to stop this?
All right, you're teetering on the line.
No. I'm
Philly
pissed at
fan
these
here.
other.
I
I'm
mean,
pissed at
you're
the Titans.
teetering.
The Titans are turning into the Eagles JV club here. It's like the Royals with the Yankees back in the day. Stop
just
giving
wait-
your best players to the Eagles, man.
Wait till they
What
send
did
him
they
Derrick
get
Henry
today?
for a
Was
fourth
that guy
round
that
pick.
great?
I think they're about to do that. It's crazy. All right. So here's the last question. So we think the Chiefs are standalone in the AFC. Who's better, the Eagles or the 49ers? And when do they play each other? I haven't even looked it up. Does anyone know?
It's next month, right?
Yeah, sometime in November, I think. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the Eagles are. I actually think the Niners might struggle a little bit tonight at Minnesota. Do we know, is McCaffrey and Debo, are they coming back?
McCaffrey's playing. Debo's not.
Debo's out. Debo's
and
out.
Trent
for a
Williams
while.
is out too.
So we got the Eagles Chiefs on Monday, November 20th. That'll be a big telltale.
Yep.
And then we've got the Eagles
Rematch Super Bowl.
Bills on November 26th. That's a big one. And then we've got the Eagles Niners on December 3rd. So weeks 11, 12, and 13 are a gauntlet for the Eagles.
Yeah.
We're really going to know how good they are.
Well,
then.
the next weekend they're coming to Dallas.
That's why I called this
So
category.
that's when they get a break.
That's when I call this category just win, baby. I think that epitomizes the Eagles this year. Everyone's like, hey, they could have been better in this game. They could have been better in that game. They showed some weaknesses here and there. They just keep winning, though. That's what good teams do. They just keep winning.
That's right.
I think they're going to win every one of those games. That would be my bet.
So. I don't think so. I think,
but they can still win the division with
fantastic,
3 or 4 losses.
But he'll hurt you too. He threw a pick 6 last night. 3 interceptions the week before.
Yep. But
I mean,
but at some point he's going to get better. He's better than that. He's not. Yeah. Unless you think he's regressed permanently.
No,
I think he's going to figure I think he's going to figure it out and get better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because that just means we're going to have to hear from House from here till eternity about this season.
I'll be betting. House. I'm taking the 49ers right now, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah, let's go Plaxico.
All right, listen. Speaking of House, just to keep piling on our misery, all of us shit the bed last week on the Plaxico locks.
He sucked me into that.
Yeah,
dang it.
House sucked milk into the Falcons Bucks. House took the Falcons. Milk took the Bucks. And lost. Let me see. Bison took his Commanders against the lowly Giants, which I thought was a lock, and lost outright. I took the Bills over the Pats. Who thought the Pats would beat the Bills? I took the Bills, lost, and then Pope took the Raiders over the Bears, and the Bears kicked their ass. The only one of us who won last week
Who
was
saw that one
House.
coming?
So House and Milk are now tied at what, 5-2? 5-2. Bison is bringing up the rear at something like 1-6, and then Pope and I are 4-3. So let's move on to this week. Week 8. House picks the Bills over sticking with his strategy of always picking against the Bucks just to piss Milk off. House is going with the Bills. Milk, what is your response to that?
I actually really like that pick, so I'm not going to take Buffalo.
Who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Jags -2. You got or -2.5 at Pittsburgh. I really like the Jaguars. I
Really?
think they're on fire,
Wow,
and the
interesting.
Steelers are
So the
smoking
line has
mirrors.
changed since I looked at it early this morning. It was 1.5. So you guys are gonna have to help me with the line because I haven't looked at it in hours.
Which game?
I
Jags
think
with
it's 2.5
Pittsburgh.
right now.
That's -2.5. Jags
Right.
giving 2.5.
Okay, Bison, who are you taking?
A lot of money
I'm
going on
taking-
Jacksonville.
I'm taking the Bills giving 7.5.
All right.
All right,
like it.
Pope.
I got the Niners giving 5.5 over the Bengals in San Fran
Interesting.
because they'll be rebounding from tonight's loss.
And that's how much? The
They're
Niners.
not losing to Minnesota. No.
They're giving how much?
5.5, at least
All right.
according to
Jefferson's
mine.
out, right?
All right, what is the line on Eagles Commanders?
6.5.
All right, I'm taking the Eagles.
Probably.
I highly
Although
recommend that.
Washington loves to play Philly close, man.
They do, but I still love that. That's a
And
good
every
pick.
so here's the
Yeah.
thing: every time I pick the Eagles or pick against the Giants, I lose. But I'm going with it.
All right. Take the Eagles.
All right.
All right,
Anything
we're
else on
finished the
NFL?
Nope.
Pope, Milk. Let's talk minor league football. What do you got on the college fronts?
Start us off, Pope.
Well, I think this week we saw some of the pretenders get exposed in the top 10. Penn State, every year you think, is this their year? And Rooster, you were there live. To what
Yeah.
extent you can remember it? Probably not much, but Ohio State.
I
What was
remember
that like, Rooster?
Yeah,
it was like watching two mediocre quarterbacks go play a defensive struggle. It was dull.
wow, dull. Interesting. Well, but Penn State is out.
Penn State's offense is horrendous. It's terrible.
Horrendous.
Drew
By the way,
Drew
James
Alar went
Franklin-
18 of 43, and every one of his passes was 5 yards or less, it seemed like. And he still only completed 18 of them.
Yeah. Well, and I
I
also hate
didn't
to say it,
read-
but North Carolina was exposed by the 1-5 Virginia Cavaliers. Mac Brown's fraudulent
Really? We're going to talk
team.
North Carolina football?
They're out.
Really? That's where we are?
They're out.
You're really starting with the 10th ranked team?
Yeah, well, we're talking top 10 pretenders. And then, interestingly, I think here's where I'm focusing. OU won because they stopped a 2-point conversion against UCF. Washington barely beat a 1-6 team, 15-7. And Texas had to do a last-minute stand against Houston to survive. These teams, OU and Texas, obviously have OU's undefeated, Washington's undefeated, Texas has 1 loss. But who's the best 1-loss team? Because that's where you need to start focusing. Alabama has 1 loss. Texas has
There
1
we go.
loss.
Oh, here we go.
Here's
Here
the
we go.
Alabama.
Well,
Here's
hey, look,
Alabama.
Alabama took care of business against Tennessee. They were down 20-7.5. Whatever Nick said worked. Came out, smoked them 27-0 in second half. So happy that Nick even smoked a cigar in celebration. So I'm not saying Alabama's going to the playoffs, but you got Michigan, I think, is probably looking like the best team. At Georgia, and okay, from there, Florida State, ACC is weak. I don't know.
Didn't the rankings just come out and they've got Ohio State maintaining number 3?
Yeah.
I don't get that. Having been at this game, I can tell you Kyle McCord is not taking a team to the championship. He's pretty good between the 30s at finding his superstar Harrison. You get that guy in the red zone and he chokes. He just tenses up. They went to the red zone 5 times and scored twice. Scored touchdowns twice. And one time they had it on the 1. First down on the 1. And the second score in the red zone came at the end of the game when Penn State had thrown in the towel. McCord's not the man. He's not winning a national championship for anyone. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, they're playing unranked teams until the final game, which is Michigan at Michigan. And so, assuming that happens, Ohio State will be eliminated in that game. As they should be, sounds like, Rooster.
I think the first of all, for my first game ever at the Shoe, there were 105.5 fans there, and it is loud as hell. And so the fans played a little bit of a role in
Sorry.
the outcome here.
105,000.
105,506 to be precise.
Oh, I thought.
Oh wow,
I thought
they're 506.
I thought when you said 0.5 that House was there with you.
105.5. And the fans had Alar completely baffled. He looked all day baffled, barely knew where the hell he was going with the ball. Their coaching staff called a terrible game, but so did Ohio State's. I don't know if anyone watched that game. They ran 3 end arounds. Every time they handed it off to the end, everybody in the stadium knew he was going to get the ball. If they had just once faked that handoff and thrown it the other way, it would have been a touchdown. It looked like a high school game offensively to me on both ends. Ohio State's defense is fantastic. Penn State's is good, and their special teams defense is A+. I mean, they every time they punted the ball, Ohio State would get it, below the 10. But the offense is in the red zone. The Ohio State offense was bad. Penn State's offense was bad everywhere on the field. Neither one of those teams belongs, in the consideration for the championship. I don't think Penn State should be out of the top 10.
Yeah.
Well, next week there's not even any top 10 clashes. You have only one top 25. Oregon at Utah. Well, I guess you have Duke at Louisville. Who cares about that? But next week is kind of other milk than the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Next week is kind of an off week, getting ready for the big November rivalry games.
I don't think we can call it a cocktail party anymore. I think it's a cookout.
Is that not allowed?
I think it's not allowed. Didn't they change it a long time ago?
I don't know.
Pope has a hard
biggest
time
mistake.
getting away from his cliches. Leave him alone.
All right, fair enough.
What's the
real quick
milk? What's
one.
the line on that game?
I don't know.
14 and a half.
Oh,
Yeah.
How's that possible? You guys should be you should be getting 20 points.
oh,
Agreed. I
Yeah.
agree.
come on, Milk. Aren't you going to shock the world? Mess up the
No.
whole playoff thing?
Definitely not.
No. I
Come
will
on,
tell you
Milk.
this. I
Suck.
said I will tell you this. The Brock Bowers loss is a big loss. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm
Just-
not
it
saying
won't
we're
matter
winning
this week.
that game.
Yeah.
It won't
All
matter.
right, Bison, we
All
better
right.
move on to Major League Baseball.
Real quick though.
Yeah, I mean,
to
listen.
our gamblers, bet of the year, and I'm always right on the bet of the year.
Oh,
Take
God.
UCLA minus 17 against Colorado. The wheels are off there.
Oh wow! Hey, Tad
Yeah.
Thomas,
Wow.
take notice of
Yeah.
that bet.
That could be
Yeah.
true. That could be true.
UCLA.
Milk
Right.
is
Do
putting
the
his
opposite.
Minus
milk
17.
pick of the year.
Pick of the
All right,
year.
baseball. We're in the LCSs. We got some barn burners going.
What's the score right now?
Do we have a game going on right now?
Oh, we do. We have an update.
Yeah.
We got Diamondbacks 3-1 in the bottom of the second.
Who would have guessed that
Okay.
Max
Wow.
wasn't ready for this?
No. What do you mean? We're not there yet. Diamondbacks.
Have
Phillies.
another drink.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong-
I'm sorry.
wrong team. Wrong team. All right, so that's
league.
game 6. We got game 6 of the NLCS going on right now. Phil's up 3-2. I mean, the
Diamondbacks
story of
up
the series. Huh?
Overall series, you're right.
Diamondbacks
You're
up
right.
3-1.
But the series is
Diamondbacks are
3-2
up 3-1 in
Phillies.
the game.
Oh,
but the
yeah,
series
yeah,
is
yeah.
3-2.
In game
Phillies,
6.
Yeah,
and we're in
sorry.
game 6 right now. Look, the story of that series has got to be bomb, right? I mean, Turner and Schwarber
For bombs.
I mean, I don't know who else, but they're all hitting home runs. I predicted to Milk quietly the other night before game 3 that the Phillies bats were going to go cold. They did go cold. It just happened to be only for one game. And I don't know. They just came right back and I guess maybe 2 games, but whatever. I don't like the 2-3-2 thing. It doesn't, I don't like that lineup, but look, if we get to game 7 in the NLCS, that would be pretty awesome. We've got game 7 in the ALCS going to start tonight. Pope has committed as much as Brian Pope's possible of committing by wearing a Rangers hat right now. He's probably got his Atlanta Braves tighty whities on underneath, I'm guessing, at this point, just so he could stay loyal.
I have a onesie PJ with feet.
But
That
the
Rangers
big
hat
thing,
looks
the
new.
big thing in this series is we're going into game 7, and the road team has won every game in the series at this point. And take me back to my glory days. That was the 2019 Nats over the Astros in the World Series. Every game, 7-game series, every game won on the road.
Where
by the
was
road
that?
team?
Yeah, where was that Game 7 of
Right
the World
in Houston.
Series? And
yeah.
who was the starting pitcher for the Nats?
Yeah, you got it. Max Scherzer. And so
And who
Max
takes the
starting
mound tonight?
Yep. It's pretty funny. And I will tell you that my memory of that is that, Scherzer gets so amped up. He's such a competitor. He's bound to groove a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that someone takes out in the first inning, and then he'll settle down.
Altuve or Bregman is going to homer in the first inning.
And then he's going to settle down, and he's going to give you 5, maybe 6 innings of just gritty pitching. He's not going to look great. He's going to scare the crap out of you, but you will be in the game when he leaves it. That's my prediction.
I think the other guy you were thinking of is Castellanos. He was hitting some bombs too.
To those who on this pod, I see one Michael Rooster Phelan, who thinks Mad Max should not take the ball tonight. We don't have any other options.
Who's your number 1 pitcher?
Well, I mean, I think Eovaldi's our number 1 pitcher, but Jordan Montgomery
pitched last night. Jordan Montgomery pitched two games ago.
Yeah, well, he's on 3. He's not going on 3 days rest. He
could go on 3 days rest.
Never gone on 3 days rest in his career.
It's a chance to go to the World Series. Max is not ready. Just not ready.
So I was at the game on Wednesday in Texas. Max was not sharp, but his fastball had movement. He just couldn't get his slider going. And if one game after having that forearm tightness, he's out for a month. If that game was his rehab, that game was him getting his feet wet again, then he could be Mad Max in Game 7. No guarantees, but he could definitely come out and he could do what he does.
But Jordan Montgomery has been dependable all playoffs.
Only one thing better than an LCS Game 7, and that's a World Series Game 7.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of PTSD going around in Dallas after coming within 1 strike twice of winning the World Series in 2011. The Rangers fans are living and dying by every pitch tonight, and I can tell you that it's going to be Pepto-Bismol, Maalox moment, big time.
I'll pack the Pepto-Bismol, Pope, since we'll be together watching it.
Awesome. So, I'll be down.
All right.
That.
Listen, we're on a tight schedule tonight. We're moving along. Rooster, I think you got a punchable face.
I do. It's a repeat punchable face. It's going to have to be a really hard punch to get through that massive, ridiculous beard of James Harden. He's pulling the same shit again. How many times do I have to warn people? Do not get James Harden on your team. He signed a massive extension with the Sixers. The Sixers stand to lose and beat if they don't get their shit together. Harden doesn't care. He's like, I'm just going to go to Houston and party and pout and refuse to play in the preseason games and refuse to show up for practice until you trade me to the Clippers. I just think the Clippers would be insane to take this guy. I hope nobody takes this guy and that he's forced to play for the Sixers because it's bullshit and I'm tired of it. So I'm going to punch that fat bastard right in the beard.
Good one. Like it. Anybody else with a punch? I got one. Michigan State.
Oh.
This is like, I mean, this isn't funny, right? I mean, this is, we try and be a little lighthearted sometimes with these punches, but this one's not funny. This is just shit just shouldn't happen anymore in 2023. But as I'm sure many of you have heard, an hour before the Michigan State-Michigan game, Michigan State had a trivia contest going on the scoreboard, and some fucking buffoon thought it would be a good idea to ask a question about what country Hitler hailed from and throw a picture of Hitler up on the scoreboard. No, never a good idea. Just
especially not now.
Ever. Yeah. I mean, not ever, not now. Like, let's just not ever reference Hitler in any way other than the most awful, evil person.
Other than a history lecture.
Yeah. I mean, outrageous. Michigan State has come out and said that it was a third party production company that handles that sort of stuff, and they have been fired and they've issued an apology. But for fuck's sake, get it together, boys.
Well, they also just fired the Michigan State employee who approved the third party's production.
Yeah, well, good. Fire everybody. Not enough people
They
get
need to
fired in that situation.
They need to fire their entire football team too.
Yeah,
Everybody should
that
be
also.
fired.
I think Michigan's just that good.
Yeah. Well, when you're stealing signs. All right, any other
Yeah,
punches?
Exactly.
Anyone have a punch?
How about a lasso?
I have one. Anyone got one? Want to go first?
No.
All right. So Pope mentioned the huge upset UVA 31 over 10th ranked UNC 31 to 27. UVA hadn't won a game against a power team all year. They're now 2-5 after winning this game. UNC drops to 6-1. UVA is terrible. They're 11th in the ACC.
They've lost
And
3 games by 3 points, though. They're not quite as bad as you think.
The lasso, though, goes to their running back, Mike Hollins, who scored 3 times, almost scored a 4th time. He fumbled the ball going into the end zone. And I think he fumbled it out of bounds, so it turned over to UNC. This is one of the guys who was on the bus when that awful shooting took place last year, and he was one of the guys who got shot and recovered and has come back to be a huge contributor, as you saw Saturday. So it was a really emotional, hard thing for UVA. Their coach was on TV yesterday saying, look, there's no team that deserves this more than we do, but you don't get things because you deserve it. You get things because you work for it. These guys have overcome all that, worked all the way back. And one of the guys who was, fighting gunshot injuries from that awful event was the major contributor. So just hats off to Mike Hollins. Great comeback all the way back from that terrible incident.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's get to some buzzer beaters and get out of here. Milk, you got a buzzer beater tonight? You don't have to.
Gators. That's it.
Rooster,
No.
you got one?
I do. Let's shout out to the Las Vegas Aces, repeating as
There you go.
WNBA champs. We were big into talking about Aja Wilson last year during the college finals. She scored 24 points and grabbed 16 rebounds without 2 of their starters, one of whom was the point guard. Everyone thought that the Liberty was going to be able to snatch that game because the Aces didn't have 2 of their starters. The Aces held Stewie, the UConn star, to 3 of 17 from the floor and won 70-69. So might be a little dynasty in the making there.
First repeat since like 2002, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. All right. Pope, you got a buzzer beater?
I mean, it's really quick, but for those of our listeners who follow F1, quite a debacle at COTA in Austin this weekend with, not a surprise that Max won, although he didn't win by as much as you would expect, starting from 6th. But Hamilton and Leclerc were disqualified for having, I don't even understand what exactly Bison. What was it? Their underride was too low or something.
My understanding is that the car was too low to the ground, and they established that through looking at the excess wear on the skid plate, I think.
Yeah, and Max came out today and said that COTA needs to redo their track. It's too bumpy, which is one of the reasons that they're having issues. So, heads up to Austin for that.
For our non-Texas fans, that's Leclerc that he's talking about.
Talking about Jose Leclerc, the closer for Game 7. Who were you talking about?
And I got a quick buzzer beater here. Sad story to report. Georgetown women's basketball coach Tasha Butts died Monday after a 2-year battle with breast cancer. She was only 41 years old. She was diagnosed with advanced stage breast cancer in 2021. She came to Georgetown in April. I don't think she ever actually coached a game for the Hoyas. She stepped away from the team last month, and unfortunately, she succumbed today. And just very sad. She had played a little bit in college for Pat Summit and got to a bunch of Sweet 16s at Tennessee and had coached college ball and most recently before Georgetown at Georgia Tech, where she was an assistant. Sad story, just too young. You never like to read about somebody who's, survived by their parents. That's just not sort of how it's supposed to go. So sad story, but it did prompt the Tasha Tough campaign, and college women's teams throughout basketball had been posting messages to her over the last several weeks. And she's been around college hoops so long. I think it's going to touch a lot of people, a lot of players, both current and past. So sad story there.
So who besides Pope thinks the Niners are going to struggle with the Vikings tonight? Anyone?
Don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either.
No.
All right, Pope.
Well,
good luck. Good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
House. Good luck to the ongoing game, and we will be back.
Yeah,
in
let's get a Rangers Phillies World Series.
got?
That
We
would
got
be entertaining.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right, guys. Have a good week. See y'all.
All right, see you
have
guys.
fun tonight.